Here we are for Pro Tour San Diego 2010. It is the top 8, and as you head into the arena with us, the 8 players are ready to get it on. And we begin at the front table. There you see Mr. Luis Scott-Vargas, the man from Channel Fireball, in pursuit of history. 16-0. He faces Jeroen Kanis with his mono red deck. There he is, the 28-year-old from Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Already we're into action with Luis. With Birds of Paradise, and that has gone away very, very quickly indeed. Oh, that's a Wild Cattle, right? Is that?
No, that's a Noble Hierarch.
Oh, there we go.
We just see from Luis Scott-Vargas. I believe a Birds was killed on the first turn.
That's right.
With Burst Lightning. This is part of Luis's strategy. He's like, I'm happy to throw out mana acceleration creatures and use them as vitamins to absorb burn.
Before shuffling, I'm also going to cast.
If he doesn't kill them, then that's great. Then I'll accelerate up into stuff. For example, accelerating into a Ranger VS.
And already has the Raging Ravine down the red-green land. He goes and gets a pair of Wild Cattle, 1/1, but that will go up to 3/3, ideally. And all this, while Kanis is just sitting there with a Lonely Mountain.
Looks like Kanis kept a speculative hand. He had the Burst Lightning, but now he's discarding. This is
not looking good for the opening.
No, and
Range Reveals goes into the red zone.
Now it's kind of interesting that Jeroen would have kept his hand. He felt like he had a shot in this matchup, but he felt that game 1 was crucially important to him.
There go the pair of Wild Cattles onto the board. 4 monsters for LSV, just 1 mountain for Kanis. This is going to be reminiscent of 2007 when Lampman and Van Lunen just monstered their way through in about 2 minutes. There you see the board for LSV, Hierarch, Nacatl, and Ranger of Eos.
There's a Scalding Tarn.
Oh, so that's land number 2. Crack that.
Sack.
Yep. You hear him there. Sack. Off we go. But he's got a lot of killing to do.
And a Raging Ravine looming as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the one thing that Kanis will be looking for, ideally an Earthquake, sooner rather than later, to try and get most of the board away, but there's still Raging Ravine, which starts off as a 4/4. He's not going to have the time.
He needs 2 more mana for that Earthquake to be at all relevant.
Yep.
Those Wild Nacatls can be 3/3s on demand with the Arid Mesa down there. And but I think this is a Searing Blaze.
Searing Blaze.
Targeting
away goes Nacatl and you.
Yeah, 16, and then I'm going to go to 15 because I'm going to sack Arid Mesa.
And we're pretty certain that Kanis has Earthquake in hand, so if he ever gets the time to get there, he's got it ready. But it is hard to imagine he will be given that time by LSV.
It's hard to imagine that would be enough as well.
Yep. So are we about to see Bloodbraid Elf? 5 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Elspeth.
Elspeth. Out comes the first Planeswalker of this top 8.
+3/+3.
+3/+3. Sir Mash.
And Jeroen is down to 6.
That is not good at all.
And essentially game over.
We're just about done.
Flying Raging Ravine next turn, even if he can somehow clear the board.
Yeah.
Earthquake's apparently one of the pivotal cards in this matchup, which may be why Jeroen kept the hand and just hoped he would find the mountains to make it work.
And did not happen. Luis Scott-Vargas, 1 to the good. Now, if you're Kanis, how do you feel after taking approximately 3 minutes to go 1-0 down against Mr. 16-0?
Kanis felt that game was very, very important for him, and I'm sure he's feeling pretty disheartened here. He doesn't like his chances after sideboarding as much, although he does get to bring in a lot of fire. He brings in Punishing Fires and Quenchable Fires.
Okay, well, let's see if we can take a look at the 2 sideboards. We'll see if we can get that up on screen for you. You see LSV there busy sorting through his deck, looking for what he's going to take out. And there is the Luis Scott-Vargas board for you to all have a look at home, get a feel for what he might be doing. Viaene, what's your take on this?
So, it's my impression that LSV is going to bring in the Basilisk Collar. He's going to bring in another Stoneforge Mystic. He's certainly going to bring in the 2 Baneslayer Angels. And we can almost certainly expect him to bring in the 4 Cunning Sparkmages to pair up with the Basilisk Collar. He will not bring in that extra Behemoth Sledge. The 3 mana to play, 3 mana to equip is just a little too slow for him, and he feels like he's pretty well set up with the Basilisk collars and the full complement of Mystics.
All right, let's go to the other side of the table, so there's Luis. And now you notice there, by the way, he's actually looking at notes, because you're allowed sideboard notes now in Magic, so he checks through what he wants to do. Kanis is going to play first. Let's see if we can get a look at Canis' sideboard. There he is. Still seems pretty relaxed, 1-0 down. There is his board. 4 Unstable Footing, the 3 Dragon's Claw for life gain, the massive Hellkite Charger, Quenchable Fire, Punishing Fire, MANABARBS. What does he do here?
So when he's on the play, he's going to be bringing in 2 Punishing Fires no matter what. He needs to do something to offset the life gain in LSV's deck. So every time he shoots something with a Basilisk Collar, he can kill something, bring back a Punishing Fire. On the draw, he's going to be bringing in Quenchable Fires, but on the play, he's only going to be bringing in the 2 Punishing Fires, and he's taking out 2 GOPs, it looks like, for that.
Okay.
There was a lot of question on the LSV team about how exactly Jeroen would sideboard, and the feeling that Brad Nelson had about it was you will eventually see Jeroen reach for those 2 Hellkite Chargers, because the matchup's very bad for him, and he needs to do something
spectacular.
Something spectacular. Yeah, he has to do something spectacular and hope for the best. And so we'll see. But I think right now we're just looking at going up to 2 more Punishing Fires.
All right. Well, the players have sideboarded. They are getting their 7 ready. And let's see whether the mono-red deck can do what it should do, which is come flying out of the gates. Jeroen looks at his opening grip. Is that a keeper?
Some mountains.
Yeah. You too? Yeah.
And we are go for game 2. It's a mountain. No turn 1 play, so no Goblin Guide.
Go.
LSV with Arid Mesa.
Yeah, Jeroen really felt like he had an uphill task in this matchup. He honestly thought he had a 40-60 matchup.
Okay.
He thought he was pretty disadvantaged. He's like, I have to kill his mana acceleration, and I have to kill his knights, and I have to kill him. And his burn might not be up to the task of doing all of those jobs.
Sure. So he's kicked off with playing Geopede, but that Geopede will not get to landfall and get to big. Will get lightning bolted by LSV. So that will be gone, and Jeroen will have to start again as LSV goes for land number 2. And it's a Misty Rainforest. Off he goes and gets the green.
Here's a mana accelerator for you to kill.
Yeah. I'll just not take 3 damage, thanks. Or 2 with Burst Lightning.
Go.
So this is the first time we're actually going to see Kanis get to 3 mana and have the opportunity to do things like Hell's Thunder and Ball Lightning and so on. Let's see whether he can actually do something with that. He draws a mountain off the top. You get a little look at Jeroen's hand. Looks like there's a Hellspark Elemental there and a Hell's Thunder, so he can go to the air for 4.
I think what he's going to do here is kill the Noble Hierarch. He's got a Punishing Fire in hand, and he really does not want Luis to get to that crucial white mana so that he's able to make a Knight of the Reliquary.
Okay, and yes, there we are. You called it right, as per usual. And so back we go to LSV. But as you said, just in that action, I didn't take 4, I didn't take 6 from a Ball Lightning. Instead, you essentially just passed the turn back, and here I am sitting at just 18 and in pretty decent shape.
17, here's another fetch land.
Yeah. LSV very much old school in his basic land choice. I think they've been sort of hitting people since around about 1995. There is the Cunning Sparkmage out of the board, the 0-1 haste, ping, and that is part of the funk with Basilisk Collar. Those 2 together are seriously entertaining Magic.
Although now the Punishing Fire on the board means you're not going to be able to get that going for very long.
Sure. Arid Mesa, out comes another burn spell. The Cunning Sparkmage goes away.
I go to 18 right away. Fetch.
Yep. Very straightforward communication between the 2 players. You can clearly hear them being very explicit about what they're doing. There you see all 4 tables are underway. Wescoe at the back there. Of shot.
Former Player of the Year doing some reporting for the Japanese side.
Yep.
Shuhei Nakamura there taking notes.
Not incidentally the best Nakamura of the weekend. That goes to Hajime Nakamura, the level 4.
Ball Lightning just took Luis Scott-Vargas down to 11.
There's Terramorphic Expanse, and there's Basilisk Collar, the other half of the combo, but the Spark Mage, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, is already in the graveyard. Back we go to Kanis. Looks like Teetering Peaks he's drawn there, which strangely enough is not that exciting when you have no men in play. So he's looking at 3 cards in hand.
How many lands do you have?
Let's just count that Knight of the Reliquary that you may or may not have eventually.
That you may or may not be expansing for.
Yeah.
Hellkite?
So there is the 4/4 flyer with haste. Now comes the Teetering Peak, so that'll be 6 through the air, and LSV is down to 5.
Go.
So now things get a little bit tense for LSV, because this is what the red deck does, and it does have the burn to just kill you from nowhere. So LSV maybe slightly on the ropes here in game 2.
Well, again, he's got a landlocked Baneslayer Angel coming up. Basically, Knight of the Reliquary is with a Basilisk Collar is going to be able to get in there for 7 or 8.
Yep. Draws for the turn. Go. There is Knight of the Reliquary.
So that's landing as I believe a 6/6. So can LSV survive this turn? He's going to take 4 in the air as it stands from a flashback.
Yep, the Unearth.
Yeah, Unearth.
4 in a, well, Unearth flashback. There, yeah. 4 in a red. Gets another 4 through the air. So another ooh, hello, Searing Blaze and Hellspark Elemental. So that's 3 and 3 either way. He cannot though.
Well, did he play a land this turn? I don't believe he did.
No, but he does not have. He's just those 2 in hand. So out comes the Hell's Thunder. Let's put you to 1. The Hell's Thunder will be exiled. You will not see that again in game 2.
All his red mana is tapped. Can't get back Punishing Fire.
So LSV.
So he's trying to figure out what mana he wants to tap.
Right on the edge. Goes with Plains and Forest. Equip the Basilisk.
Attack for 6.
Attack for 6.
Yep.
They just check the graveyard.
12 to 7.
And I go back up to 7. So now the red deck has to deal 26. He makes a Nacatl.
And another Basilisk Collar.
Yeah. So this is really the last window you would think for Jeroen. 3 cards in hand.
The Searing Blaze is more or less shut off without a land.
Plated Geopede,
without a land.
Hellspark Elemental, and Searing Blaze. Looks like the best card in Standard, Knight of the Reliquary, is going to take LSV out of danger and head him towards a 2-0 lead.
LSV could not get that Nacatl in the path of that thing fast enough.
Yeah.
Geopedes?
Okay.
Yeah, that is not exciting enough, I'm afraid, for the mono red.
And
you are going to see that life total go in reverse once again. It was at 1 and now it's at 7.
It's about to hit 13. He's going to be able to deal 9 here. He has a Bloodbraid Elf. I don't know if he'll play it or not.
Attack.
Yep.
You're 6, and I'm at 13.
You really get to see Basilisk Collar in action here. Just spectacular.
Go.
And there's another Knight of the Reliquary. And a Raging Ravine. Rich, are we able to get any updates on what's going on the back tables?
Yeah, on table B, that is Niels Viaene against Simon Görtzen. Niels likes to get to 6 mana for Open the Vaults. It did not happen. He had mana problems, and Simon Görtzen just ran him over. So Görtzen
I'm going to take it. I'm going to give it 10.
Steel European battle 1-0. And then Daniel Gräfensteiner of Germany up against Craig Wescoe. The White Weenie is 1 down to Angels. Baneslayer and Ameria come over. And
I knew the Knights were going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I know.
Game 2 goes to Luis. Luis?
I thought you were going to be a problem. You're absolutely right, Jeroen. Kanis is a bit of a problem.
What do you think tipped him off to being a problem? 16-0?
Well, there's that too. But just, you only need to look at the table. You don't even need to look at the man or the record. You just look on the board and see those Knights of the Reliquary. Now, Jeroen Kanis, let's tell you a little bit more about him, especially as we may not have too much longer to do so. Jeroen Kanis is 28 from Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Began playing at the Eventide pre-release. There you see his record, 8 pro points. So he more than doubles that, because even if he goes out against LSV here, which is still not certain, of course, he will get 12 pro points. All the quarterfinalists get 12 here, 16 for the losing semi-finalists, 20 for the finalist, and then the big 2-5, 25 points to the winner. Debuted in Austin last year, of course, won by Mr. Brian Kibler with Punishing Fire that Kanis has in his deck. And as we mentioned in the pre-game, he beat Nassif twice yesterday, and the way he did it to make the top 8 was phenomenal. Deciding game of round 16, he gets Nassif to 3. He has a plated Geopede in play, a Hellspark Elemental in the graveyard that he can unearth, but that will not suffice because Nassif has 5 mana and gets out Baneslayer Angel. The only way Kanis can win is if there is burn on the top of the deck. And there was a lightning bolt on the top of the deck. It was Craig Jones, but in reverse, and Nassif was out of his chair this time, and he just couldn't believe it. It was like he was literally electrocuted.
Yeah, literally bolted out of his chair.
He was bolted out of his chair. I mean, it was a spine-tingling moment. It was great to be there.
And if you saw Nassif after the match, he just looked devastated.
Yes.
That would have been his 10th top 8.
And you know, the hunger never goes away. 9 Pro Tour top 8s, a winner of a Pro Tour last year, a Player of the Year, arguably the 3rd greatest player of all time, a mortal lock, as you like to say, BDM, for the Hall of Fame.
I mean, not just a mortal lock for the Hall of Fame, I think mortal lock for leading the ballot for the Hall of Fame this year.
And he was, as you say, he was distraught.
Anyone who doesn't vote for Nassif on their Hall of Fame ballot has not been watching Magic for the last 10 years.
We could defriend them on Facebook. So, away we go with Game 3.
Sterling Wildwood to lead off
for LSV.
Match for LSV.
Kanis again, no Goblin Guide, turn 1. Goes fetches Mountain number 2. You have to keep believing. And Mono Red is a deck that you can keep believing with, because you can just script up the plays. You go Hell's Thunder, Hell's Thunder, Hell's Thunder Unearth, Hell's Thunder Unearth. Here's a Ball Lightning to kill you. You know.
Hellspark?
Hellspark, 3.
17.
Only 17 to go. Apart from the only bit.
And if LSV stumbles at all, it's very easy for this deck to put Luis on 11 next turn.
Yeah, and here we see Luis without a Noble Hierarch, without Wildner Cattle to get in the way. He is just sitting there with 2 land and pass. 3 for Jeroen. Off he goes. So we get to 3. So that's Hell's Thunder or Ball Lightning, if he has one.
A ball. I see a white border. So
that's encouraging.
that sounds like a Ball Lightning for Kanis.
Yeah. A great card for old timers, Ball Lightning. We've been using those since the late 90s and having great fun with those in mono red decks, and here they are again in a new decade on the Pro Tour. 6. Yeah, and you hear LSV not just say, yes, I'm on 11, but yeah, I'm on 11. 3rd land.
Go.
Out comes the SparkMage. So that kind of puts a crimp in the whole Ball Lightning plan, but less so for Hell's Thunder.
And on the Unearth Hellspark Elemental plan.
Yeah. So now Kanis will look to take to the air, or maybe bolt the SparkMage out of the way. It looks like he's got a Lightning Bolt there in front of his hand. As he looks at his options. Remember, Görtzen 1-0 up over Viaene. Gräfensteiner 1-0 thanks to his Angels over Craig Wescoe. Still no score in Boggemes against Yoshihiko Ikawa, the lone Japanese player.
Bolt the Cunning SparkMage. 2 mana showing. Freshly cast Hellspark Elemental. And Luis is down to 8.
And go.
Really looking at almost lethal amounts of damage next turn.
4th land, it is a Rootbound Crag. But we need to see something good, or Jeroen Kanis will be off the duck. And that's great, because no one wants to lose 3-0 in their first top 8, because you go to bed Saturday with so much hope of excitement, and you come in and you get blown out. Not nice.
I don't know that anyone who goes to bed Saturday night with the facing the prospect of LSV in the quarterfinals goes to
for now,
bed
I'm going to do
optimistic.
3 damage to you.
There is that.
14, and I'm at 11.
Yeah, and there's the brakes applied. Back we go. Johnny is down.
And Lightning Helix has been applied.
Yep. So he's back up to 11 LSV. In the background you see Niels Viaene, left of screen now. The back table, I can tell you that Carl Boggemes has taken the opening game in the Jund mirror over his Japanese opponent, Yoshihiko Ikawa. Kyle only 20, he'll feel good about getting underway with a win, calm the nerves a little bit under the lights and in the full glare of the global spotlight. So, Stoneforge Mystic, this is another part of the whole fun Basilisk collar combo, as it were. The chance to go fetch an equipment.
Perhaps a Behemoth Sledge.
For example.
Looking at his hand, trying to figure out whether he wants to get a collar or a sledge.
And it looks like Punishing Fire, Earthquake, and a Hell's Thunder. There you see it. Those are the 3 cards for your own Kanis. And I'm looking at the flavor text, none of them say die LSV die.
Go.
I didn't quite catch which card he got there. Looks like
that
it was
looks
a sledge.
Yeah, sledge at the front of his hand. So SparkMage is down, Stoneforge Mystic is down. Jeroen lays land number 4. It's an Arid Mesa, another fetch land. Rather less useful for the mono-red deck than the fetch lands are for the Night of the Reliquary decks, it's fair to say.
Fetch.
No, it's pretty nice with the GAPs.
Sure.
You're getting in for 5 on turn 3.
Nice cheeky 5/5 first strike, but none of that has really happened. The red deck you're used to exploding out with Goblin Guide, and then in you go with Hellspark, and it's Ball Lightning turn 3, and they're very nearly dead. That has not happened in any of these games, even before LSV applied the brakes and started reversing the life total.
Earthquake for 3.
Earthquake for 3.
So I shoot you in response.
Go.
Luis is going to play Bloodbraid Elf and hope he goes into collar.
My Cascade is Lightning Bolt. Nonetheless, Kanis now down to single figures. There's a Bloodbraid Elf right there that, of course, has haste.
I believe it will not avail itself of haste.
It'll just sit there as a little bit of blocking insurance. Will not be blocking Hell's Thunder, though, which we know that Kanis
I don't think
has.
this matters.
Searing Blaze, Hell's Thunder, Punishing Fire. Can you craft damage out of this? Can you craft enough?
Magic the Puzzling. Introductory level.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not get Mark Rosewater involved in this. Without the landfall, Searing Blaze is just 1. 1 to creature, 1 to player. With landfall, it would have been 3. So 2 mana.
With a 5th mana, he can just win this turn.
That's right. You go landfall. There's Searing Blaze for 3.
Check.
So off we trade. 1 goes through. LSV down to 4.
The Hellspark Elemental is potentially lethal next turn.
Go.
Yep. But needs the land. So Kanis will be looking for a land. And he has Searing Blaze and Punishing Fire still sitting there. So land is pretty much game.
No,
End of
Punishing
turn.
Fire you.
Punishing Fire you. Down to 2.
I believe he's holding a Hell Thunder, so I think this
Oh,
is
okay.
just
Fine.
game.
Yep. Here we go. Heavy breathing from Kanis. What is he?
How many cards left?
How many cards you got?
And how many?
No lands in my graveyard.
No lands at all. So the
Hell's
knight's
Thunder.
just a knight.
I got the Hellstone.
1, 2, 3. I have the Hell's Thunder. Oh. LSV says, I'll go get a planes. We're about to see path. We are. You thought you had me. You do not yet.
Luis is at 1.
And there is damage in hand for Kanis.
But we're going to untap with a Behemoth Sledge.
Yeah. Oh, so close.
Go.
So that is a 3-3, which is going to become a 5-5.
Attack for 6.
Attack for 6.
Yep.
Good game, and there you have it.
Mountain.
That is the sweep.
3-0 for Luis Scott-Vargas. 17-0 for the tournament. I think we are going to move back and take a look at Niels Viaene's match against Simon Görtzen. I really want to get a look at this Esper deck in action.
Yeah, so we have Görtzen playing Jund against the Esper deck with Niels Viaene over on table B. Simon Görtzen currently leads 1-0 in that one. In fact, it looks like, yeah, we're going to join it at a perfect time because you can see on your screen they are on the left and they are shuffling up for game 3 and we are all square. Niels Viaene has equalised the score and now we will face the best of 3, which is what you're used to throughout the 16 rounds. BDM, you've
Best
sat
of 3 sideboarded.
Yeah, now, let's talk about that. How big a difference. This is one of the things that people never play. Nobody ever plays best of 5 4 games sideboarded. How big a difference is it on the biggest stage of all?
Thanks.
You have full knowledge of your opponent's deck. You've been playtesting with, seasoned Pro Tour veterans all night. You have a very good idea of what your opponent's going to do as far as the sideboarding. You know what the best strategies are. It's tremendous. If you have the deck advantage, then it should be... It favors you tremendously.
On the right of your screen is Niels Viaene of Belgium. He is from Ghent, the 24-year-old in his first Pro Tour. Began at the Dark Steel pre-release. 6 pro points. Let's see if we can get a quick look at some of the resume of Niels Viaene. I'll not lie, it is pretty slender. There it is.
He should probably include an essay with that resume. There's not a lot of material there yet. I met him in Oakland, actually, where he was wandering around with what has come to be known as the creepy Belgian doll. Doing sort of doing a roaming gnome kind of thing, where he's asking people to take pictures with. He didn't call it a creepy Belgian doll. He's a little. No, he's demanding an apology, actually, if he wins this event.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to that on Tournament Center. We'll give him an apology if he wins this event. We asked him, where do you expect to finish in this event? This was on Friday morning. He said, I'd like to think I'd be in the top 100. Yeah, you've done that, plus at least 92. So well done on that. He was 7 wins, 1 loss, and then 2 IDs in standard, 5-1 in draft. Let's see if we can take a look at his opponent from Germany, Simon Görtzen. There he is, the 25-year-old, the second most experienced of this top 8, 50 pro points, and a lot of that is grinding his way around the European Grand Prix circuit. You see there at the bottom, he was top 8 of the Grand Prix in Paris, which at that point was the largest Magic tournament ever held.
Niels also has a top 8 at Grand Prix Paris the following year.
Which actually is the largest Magic tournament ever held.
So we were talking about sideboarding before. Niels was very, very excited when he got the deck list of Görtzen. Görtzen does not have the typical cards that a Jund deck is bringing in that he's worried about. He said he can bring in Great Sable Stag, he can bring in Pithing Needle, but he doesn't have Rune Blasters, and he doesn't have Thought Hemorrhage. And he's like, I can't meet Rune Blasters until the finals if I get there. But it's still Jund, he said. And if he gets the nuts, and he kind of let it trail off right there. But he was very excited that he can't be put off his mana by this version of Jund.
All right, well, it looks like Görtzen is busy trying to decide whether to mulligan or not.
I really like the note that's written on Niels' hand. I don't know if you can see it. It says focus.
Yeah, and that was the title of a feature match in round 16. He knocked out Dan Gardner of the United Kingdom in the very last round. Dan had a terrific tournament, though, so fair play to him. He will be back, of course, in San Juan, having made top 50 here. So we are away with tap lands either way.
So the Kabira Crossroads for Niels.
And Görtzen. And there you see the focus. Last person who did something like that was Zach Hill last year. Focus on what you're doing right now. He just had the initials right across his knuckles. So taking a leaf out of an R&D member now, Zach Hill.
Niels just streamlined it down. He's just like, I just want to focus.
Yeah, never mind on all this doing right now. Yeah, focus.
while he has deck advantage, again, we've talked about him having an experience disadvantage. So he really just said, I want to remain calm. I want to be able to just play my match. He's like, I don't want to get too upset if I make a mistake. He's like, I know I might make one, but if I do, I'm not going to worry about it too much, and I'm just going to try my best to recover. So for him, it was very important that he goes into this with an attitude of having fun.
Raging Ravine for Görtzen. Another land, not much going on early here. Görtzen taps 2 and says, here's Putrid Leech. That's an interesting card. It's one of those things, a bit like Bitter Blossom, where you find cards that sit in fairies. Ancestral Vision is the card in fairies, where sometimes it's in for months at a time, everyone plays it, and then the environment just gets a bit too quick and it goes away. Putrid Leech is that card in Jund. It's like, from week to week, if you play Magic Online a lot, you're going to see everyone playing it, suddenly nobody plays it. Right,
we're seeing plenty of it here this weekend. I believe all 4 decks are running all 3 of the Jund decks in the top 8 are running the full set of 4.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for that is that on the other side, they recognize it as a threat, and that's why it gets Journey to Nowhere straight away. I don't want to take 4 return. Görtzen runs out sprouting Thrynax next, so when that dies, he will get 3 little guys. And that's something very much that R&D have pointed us towards, the idea that creatures are no longer just one guy. Often you find that they will explode into more.
Oh, sure. There's tremendous card advantage built into creatures now.
Yep. Very different to the days of, here's my guy, please don't kill it. We talked about the experience, though. I mean, one thing to remember, Niels Viaene is from Belgium, and that means he has at his disposal the Belgian squad. That means Moraine Leibert with his 3 top 8s. That means Jan Dwaz. That means Christophe Gregoire. That means the Viaene brothers. Belgium is a pretty serious European powerhouse right now, and they were right behind him down the stretch yesterday.
And more importantly than just being a powerhouse, a real embracing Magic community that has done a great job of, as players come up out of playing like Friday Night Magic and going into the PTQs and going to the PTs, that Niels is hanging out with those guys and he's talking to them and they're brainstorming about stuff, and he's like, what should I do for this last card of my sideboard? And it's just this great it's a great Magic community. It reminds me a lot of the Netherlands in the early part of this last decade.
Cascade time for Görtzen. Bloodbraid Elf cascades into Great Sable Stag.
So we see a Journey to Nowhere and an Oblivion Ring. The Oblivion Ring took out the
Sprouting Thrynax.
Niels is down to 18 from the attack on the Bloodbraid.
Görtzen.
Dragonclaw
adds land. Not a man land, though.
We see one Dragonclaw reaches in there.
Lava Claw, yeah.
Lava Claw, yeah.
Draw.
And the Raging Ravine.
A little bit of a land stumble here for Niels. One of the reasons he liked this matchup is because there was no land destruction, but he's scuffling on his own here.
Yeah, and he scuffled in game 1. That's how Görtzen won game 1. It was mana malfunction largely from Viaene. You saw a look at Görtzen's hand there. He is looking at Blightning and Siege Gang Commander, another of what I call the unzip creatures. Down it comes and yeah, they're all my guys.
I can tell you right now that LSV is rooting very hard for Simon Görtzen.
Yeah. I think Simon Görtzen is probably rooting quite hard for Simon Görtzen as well.
It's a reasonable expectation. Here comes a Raging Ravine.
So that will be 4. Great Sable Stag at 3. Bloodbraid Elf at 3.
That's 10.
Down I go to 8, says Niels. Görtzen has the Blightning in hand, remember? And Siege Gang. He is looking very much like he is going to take a 2-1 lead here, but there is Day of Judgment.
He's still going to take
the board.
He's still going to take 5 from that Raging Ravine.
Yeah.
Is it?
Already has 1 counter on. That will become 2 when it attacks. If you're new to the game, important to remember those counters stay on even when it stops being a creature. The counter is there forever on the land, so it gets to accumulate. But generally not for very long because your opponent is dead. That's generally how they work.
It's pretty funny. I walked by a group of people playtesting this morning and I saw a Raging Ravine with like 7 counters on it. I'm like,
how does that happen?
He just kept attacking Jace.
Oh, okay.
played a series of Jaces.
We saw a fantastic Jace game yesterday when LSV was in pursuit of the 16 up against Dan Gardner, and Gardner had Jace the Mind Sculptor down and got the counters to 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and he had one critical turn to try and get it to 13, and then he could go ultimate. And in the end, he had to brainstorm at 11 and stay at 11, and LSV just kept making knights and eventually pulled out the win. That's probably the closest LSV came to defeat all weekend.
Siege Gang Commander for Simon, he would rather advance his board than just get in for 5 there.
So Niels once again basically in dire need of exactly that card right there, Day of Judgment number 2.
But the Siege Gang Commander shoots a token at him on the way out.
Boom, 6.
You're a 6? Yep. My turn.
We know we have lightning damage in hand. There's Niels. Let's go, indeed.
I talked to a number of people in the hall today, and everyone was talking about the matchups. And the feeling was that if Niels could get past this quarterfinal, which is his, well, that this was his worst matchup, and he actually had a chance to win this whole thing if he can get past Simon.
Well, not many people have won the Pro Tour on debut. Jan Moritz Merkel certainly had. A certain Mr. Randy Buehler, I do believe.
And a certain Michael Lecanto.
That's cheating. You can't pull that one out.
It's a good trivia question.
Yeah, indeed. I'll give you that one.
Michael, of course, won the first Pro Tour. Yep. And there's Raging Ravine getting in for 5.
Bernard Lestray, I do believe, in the final of that first PT. So Niels is right on the ropes, and he is not in the position that LSV is in, with being able to go, here's Behemoth Sledge, and let's gain some life back, and let's lightning helix you, effectively. Those are not options.
It looks like a spreading seas on the Raging Ravine, but that's not going to be enough. We still have another man land on the other side to deal with.
So what we're going to do is we head for game 4 of this one. Oh, is it my turn to win now, says Viaene, looking to equalize.
Isn't it exciting enough?
We're going to see if we can take a look at the sideboards of these two guys, Görtzen and Viaene, as they look to check whether they want to reconfigure things for Game 4. Something Kenji Samura said, you should always check your sideboard between every game, whether it's sealed or draft or constructed. There is always something you can consider changing, at the very least. Here is Görtzen's board, and boy, is he packing removal.
Yeah, he has the Great Sable Stags, and the Masters of Wild Hunt in the creature spot, but everything else is essentially a removal spell. Maelstrom Pulse, 2 Terminate, the Pithing Needle, essentially removes a Planeswalker. In fact, I think that Niels, in respect for the Pithing Needle, is siding out his Jaces. And for Deathmark, but not a card that's,
super exciting.
Super exciting.
All right, let's go across to the other side of the board. Here you see Niels. He's got a lot more options around. He's got plenty of one-ofs in his board. We talked in the pre-game about that extremely entertaining card, Sanguine Bond. So the deal there is, when you gain life, your opponent loses that much life. And the reason that's so good is because Filigree Angel says, when this enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life for every artifact that comes along with it. So, potentially, it's a kill card right there.
Right. I don't think we'll be seeing it in this matchup.
Sure.
There's not nearly enough time for him to set up behind his Sphinx of Lost Truths and fill up his graveyard. Looks like his plan is going to be to remove Jace, remove Capsule, take out 1 Glass Dust Hulk, take out 1... Architect of Will, and I think maybe even one Open the Vault, because they're a little expensive and he needs to find some answers early. Bring in 2 Hindering Light, bring in 3 Flash Freeze, bring in the 2 Journey to Nowheres, and go up to a max out his deck on Day of Judgments. So, he didn't really want to bring in the Day of Judgment. He said with 3 Double Dragons, meaning the and 3 Siege Gang Commanders, he thought things get very tricky. One of the cards that he's actually not concerned about in this matchup, which is kind of surprising, is he actually likes getting Lightning. Because his deck wants to have stuff in the graveyard, he's won multiple matches in the Swiss, thanks to being Blightning and being able to put his Filigree Angel or other key cards into his bin, and then be able to just accelerate in to open the vaults. And he was wondering if we would see Simon side out his Blightnings in anticipation of that. I don't think so.
Okay. Just to give you some updates on the back tables, you can see over Niels Verhaan's shoulder, you can see Yoshihiko Ikawa. He is getting ready for Game 3 against Carl Boggemes. He is smiling away, but I'm not entirely sure why, because he is 2-0 down to the 20-year-old from Waterford, Michigan. 3 sprouting Thrynax in that game for Kyle Boggemes to take a 2-0 lead. So Ikawa, roughly a 1 in 8 chance of staying in this event. Meanwhile, Gräfensteiner against Craig Wescoe. Wescoe with the white weenie has made it 1-1. That was Wescoe white weenie 1-1. I didn't stumble once. Awesome.
Say it 3 times fast.
Oh, nice.
No.
That's even better.
These two have seen plenty of fun times on the GP circuit together. They're pretty relaxed here together. It reminds me very much of Rome last year, where you saw David Wright bow up against Florian Hills. Great friends, travelling companions on the circuit. And yeah, here we are playing for a ton of money on a Sunday, but actually we're just playing Magic at our own little kitchen table.
Well, honestly, I mean, you look at Niels' answers to some of the questions. He was just looking to do well. He's just like, I'd like to, not embarrass myself. I'd like to make day 2. I'd like to finish in the top 100. You make the top 8 of a Pro Tour. Win, lose, well, you can't draw. I mean, it's just an amazing experience for these guys. It's just especially the 7 guys who had never been this far into a tournament like this before.
Yeah, it's just as well for people like Bram Snetvangs that you can't draw in the top 8, really.
For me, it's hard enough to pronounce all these Dutch names.
You've got a new friend now.
See, they're having fun. That's what we like.
And if I spell my name with G-O-E, then it will sound like Görtzen or something.
Görtzen. We're getting little language lessons from the players, how to do the names.
O-E is our U.
I understand Bill Stark's been shooting a video where some of the European players give the pronunciation for their names.
Okay, I expect to be about 0 for 50 on that list.
I actually had umlaut training.
1 year of umlaut training.
Let's take a look, actually, at the top Europeans. In fact, there is Görtzen again, the top 8 of Grand Prix Paris, as we say. Venice 03. You were at that event, right?
I was at Venice 03. That was a great event. That was Osip Lebedovic winning the Pro Tour with Astral Slide.
Wow, what a great deck that was. And that came back the following year when a 15-year-old Dutch kid, no offence to him, came along, Julian Naughton, and won Worlds with, not exactly that deck, but with Slide.
Right, Slide with Eternal. It was Eternal Slide, so he had the Eternal Witness to make things, more interesting.
That was so much fun. Incidentally, you can still pick up that deck when they used to do, the world's top 8 decks. So I've got all those decks from that World Championship, and it's a ton of fun playing Eternal Slide.
You're a big fan of recreating events and playing out top 8s again.
In a big way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Friday, I'm doing the top 8 again, for sure. Get 8 friends around the table. You get to be Görtzen. I'm going to be LSV. Hope that's all right. Do you know what? I don't think LSV's chances are going to be as good next Friday.
All right, we're underway here.
Here we go. Görtzen, Field Mist Border Post.
The Border Posts are a tricky card in this matchup for Niels. He said, and I will, sort of bleep, but he said, getting your Border Posts Maelstrom Pulse is a kick in the teeth. Sure. It's like TBS.
Talking of TBS, the Ben Sec won a PTQ last night. There were huge cheers in the arena around about 9 o'clock last night, and TBS will be joining us in San Juan. We'll tell you a lot more about the public events through the weekend. There are some incredible stories from that, particularly yesterday, because of course fewer pros playing on day 2. They go into public events. A certain Hall of Famer did rather well yesterday, and he's sitting in the front row of the arena right now, Mr. Svi Moshevitz.
He is not reading from his brand new Kindle.
No, that's right. He won a Kindle DX, I believe. So late last night in Standard. So there's Putrid Leech for Simon Görtzen.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to get flash freezed. Yes,
there it is. Counter red or green. Putrid Leech, black, green. Counts as both. If that's a fairly simple rules question for you. Doesn't have to be both, just has to be one.
Draw.
Off we go. Görtzen draws.
Cards.
Reminder that Boggemes 2-0 to the good over Ikawa. Gräfensteiner and Wescoe 1-1 in their match. Scott-Vargas probably tucked up in bed somewhere waiting for a semi-final, you know, sometime after lunch.
Yeah.
Having defeated Jeroen Kanis of the Netherlands by 3-0.
You see Niels cycle.
Draw.
So away goes Sprouting Thrynax. Don't like that, thank you very much. So Görtzen goes back again. Maelstrom Pulse.
And there's the Maelstrom Pulse.
Kick in the teeth.
Cool.
Raging Ravine tapped. Niels draws Sphinx of Lost Truths. Little cycle starting to fill up his graveyard.
But he is deprived of both colors and quantity of mana.
And again, this is what has happened to him. This will be 3 games out of 4 that he has stumbled on mana.
Well, this is not as quite as much of a stumble. He's playing the border posts, and that's a risky play in a field full of Jund where people are running Maelstrom Pulses and have the ability to Stone Rain 2 of your lands at a time.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Andre Coimbra in the final of Worlds against David Rightbow basically do precisely that. He said, yeah, you're running land, but actually you're not. They're in the bin. So it looks like, despite the fact that Görtzen does not have Goblin Ruin Blaster lurking around in his sideboard. Just to let you know that at the conclusion of this next game, we will be heading off to see Craig Wescoe against Daniel Gräfensteiner. Wescoe started 1-0 down against the Angels of the German. He now leads 2-1 with the white weenie. I want to let you see that white weenie deck in action because it's pretty fun. So, Görtzen hands over to Niels. Görtzen from Aachen in Germany.
Oh, right.
I believe he works in software game development, so he actually gets to work with games pretty much the whole time. Magic is his game of choice for fun, and I believe he works in computer games full time.
Maelstrom Pulse on Journey to Nowhere, and
so I will have my guy back.
That looks like a Garrick Wildspeaker over there on the far left.
Does indeed. Planeswalker in the house with Thrynax for Görtzen. And very little for Viaene. You saw a little twitch of the mouth from Viaene. Görtzen looking calm, as well he might with his board.
Yep.
Raging Ravine in. Counter goes on there.
Takes
4-7. We are very nearly done here, I think.
That is game as it stands, without anything from Niels.
And Scott-Vargas, we are very close to knowing your semi-final opponent, and I think you're going to like the answer.
Oh, he doesn't love the answer.
Oh, okay.
He was actually pretty concerned about Simon's deck as well. Simon has 4 DEATHMARK and 2 Terminates in his sideboard.
Yep.
And, as well as the Pulse, and is able to, really kill a lot of creatures that Luis wants to play.
Garrett goes down to 3. Makes token. There's a land. For Viaene, it is a Belgian land. It is a probably insufficient land. Viaene looks. That red zone is looking extremely perilous right now. 2 mana. I'll take away the Sprouting Thrynax. I'll pass. How exciting is it when you're sitting there and you're actually about to win your first match in a Pro Tour Top 8? You can see the win just sitting there. Wow. Boggemes 2 up over Ikawa. Gräfensteiner 1 down at 2-1 to Craig Wescoe. We're going there next.
I thought it was fascinating to talk to Boggemes that he felt like his Friday Night Magic experience was so relevant in this top 8.
Yeah.
He felt like, I know how to play Jund. Here we go.
In another
for
counter.
8.
What will he do with Garrick? Goes back up to 4. I'm going to untap a couple of land.
And play another.
Sprouting Thrynax. The death throes are upon us. Niels Viaene, he was 2-1 against Jund this weekend. His 6 pro points will triple to 18 at the conclusion of what may well be the next turn, and there it is. Congratulations to Simon Görtzen. A little grin, a little raise of the eyebrows. He advances to the semi-finals and will face Louis Scott-Vargas after lunch. He is the next man in the way of history. Is he the New York Giants? We will find out after lunch. So we are going to take you across town to Table C. This is Daniel Gräfensteiner of Germany, and he is facing Craig Wescoe. And so let's have a quick look at that matchup for you. Gräfensteiner with this junk deck. Green-white creatures, splashing black for Maelstrom Pulse. It's all about the angels. The big Baneslayer, the M10 Mythic, and a Merrier Angel. Landfall makes more guys. And Wescoe with all the fun of White Weenie. You did that deck tech, of course, BDM. So you can, if you want to go and queue that up, you can have a good look inside not only the deck, but inside the mind of Craig Wescoe, the guy playing it.
Wescoe was very, very deliberate in laying out how the deck originated. You know, there's a suite of 8 protection from creatures, which he put in there to play against Jund. He has the equipment package, which he put in there, you know, to just be able to have the advantage against creature decks. You know, lets him be able to play Wrath, a very unexpected card coming out. Let's take a look at Gräfensteiner here.
So 22-year-old from Germany, his brother Toby, quite a few brothers in this. There were the Mann brothers, Jared and Corey. You often see Matteo and Marco Orsini-Jones, only Matteo in this one. But there were plenty of brothers around the field. That seems to be an increasing thing on the Pro Tour, I guess, as players just get older and the younger brother who you teach to play comes on tour.
Absolutely.
Qualified by winning a PTQ and also rating. He is one of the 100 highest rated players in the world, 20 pro points. This is his 3rd PT, and a very good finish. The first time I was in the booth, in fact, 21st in Kuala Lumpur, the event won by the mighty John Finkel.
3 Pro Tours, a top 32 finish, and a top 8 finish. This is someone to keep an eye on.
Not shabby by any means. There's Craig, 27 years old, began playing, you do the math, 1996, that guy was 13 when he picked up Magic.
He started playing with Ice Age, he said, and we were talking, and, you know, he's picked up a handful of Pro Points. You actually had an interaction with him in your forums.
I really did. So I always write, you know, an article after each Pro Tour, and I got to the Worlds thing, and he wrote in the forum. I didn't write about him because there were 400 players, and he was not one that I mentioned. And he put in the forum, he said, my goal for next year, starting with Pro Tour San Diego, to have accomplished enough to make my 36-point finishes worth writing about. And I proceeded to, I pulled up all his numbers and I did a little bio just for him on the forums, and I ended that by saying perhaps 2010 will take him from the forums to the main article itself as he builds on more than a decade in the game. And here he is, on camera, 2-1 up in the quarterfinal, and it tells you start playing the game at 13, 14, 27, you keep believing, and it can be your turn. And here he is with White Weenie. Up against Gräfensteiner. We are underway here in Game 4. Borderland Ranger on turn 2, accelerated out by the Noble Hierarch from Gräfensteiner. Borderland Ranger fetches basic land. So 2-2 into play. Wescoe kicking off with his planes.
Such an explosive looking draw compared to the lonely planes.
Yeah.
See what Wescoe can do to catch up here.
Well, he certainly has plenty of things to do on turn 2. He's got White Knight at 2, he's got Stoneforged Mystic at 2, he has got Skyfisher at 2, he's got Core Firewalker at 2. You know, so one would expect him to do something. No! That's unreal. What is his hand? What did he keep? Couple of Path to Exile, Oblivion Ring, Day of Judgment. It sounds like a really controlling hand for Wescoe. The Borderland goes in with double Noble Hierarch backup, so double Exalted, that's 4. And maybe we're going to see one of those Path to Exiles.
Maybe.
There's a glimpse. Core Skyfisher as well, Marsh Flats, Arid Mesa.
16.
Yeah, a really, really controlling hand for Wescoe. He takes 4. Perhaps trying to get Gräfensteiner to overcommit to the board and then get himself up to Day of Judgment.
Yeah, well, Wescoe definitely plays his deck much more like a control deck.
just seems so odd when you think of a control deck that has 4 White Knight, 4 Stoneforge Mystic, 4 Core Skyfisher, 4 Steplinks, 4 Core Firewalker. Yeah, this is 20 creatures in a control deck, and that's the direction that White's been going.
Right. The way he controls it is by only playing out 1 or 2 creatures at a time.
Yeah.
You know, really suiting up. But we're not seeing any of that right here.
Oh, wow. On the back table, I can tell you that Kyle Boggemes is through 3-0, and the Japanese presence at Pro Tour San Diego has been extinguished. The last remaining player from that storied country, Yoshihiko Ikawa, is gone. 3-0, and yet more Thrynax tokens for Kyle Boggemes, so he will go through to face the winner of this matchup. So LSV will play Görtzen in semi-final 1. And Kyle Boggemes will play the winner of Wescoe against Gräfensteiner with, right here, you see it on your screen, Wescoe leading 2-1. And right now...
One more game and Wescoe could put 3 Americans into the semifinals.
That is pretty exciting.
Probably more exciting for me than for you.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say 3 British players into the semifinals, am I? If I get to be 100 in the booth, let's face it. But we nearly had 1 in the top 8.
I really thought this was going to be Danny's weekend.
Yep.
Young Danny Gardner.
Yeah.
I feel like that's his full name.
Daniel. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been a Daniel since he was about 8. He's a guy who has a lot of confidence.
Day of Judgment clearing away the 2 Noble Hierarchs and the Borderland Ranger.
You see, and now that looks a lot better.
Go from Gräfensteiner. We saw Craig was reluctant to path there earlier. Took the damage. Said, I don't think I really want to give you a fix on your mana this early.
Core Skyfisher, pick up a plains. Here's a Step Links. Of course, I now have a plains ready to landfall the Step Links.
And hold that 4th land back in my hand so I can landfall next turn, yeah. There's a Stirring Wildwood.
The number 1 of the manlands, would you say, this weekend?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Night of the Reliquary this was its coming out party. You know, it was one of the big cards this weekend. And Stirring Wildwood just fit perfectly into that package.
So Wescoe now goes on offense for the first time here in Game 4. There you see him, the 27-year-old from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Get a Path Exile on the Steplinks.
Yep. Away it goes. The better standard record went to Craig Wescoe here this weekend. 8-2 Wescoe up against 6-3 and then an ID for Gräfensteiner. Taken across the board, though, the junk decks have a pretty good record this weekend against White Weenie, 10-5. But I guess the trick there, BDM, this is not White Weenie that everyone else is running.
This deck does not look like the other White Weenie decks we saw. In fact, I saw it to go 5-0. Craig Wescoe was one of a handful of players who went 5-0 on day 1 in Standard, and he had a White Weenie matchup in that round. And it seemed like 2 very, very different decks when you watch them play out.
Sure.
I guess he won.
So Wescoe is at 10. Gräfensteiner at 19. You see a White Knight come down.
Most people that lose aren't that excited.
It was interesting, as we went to Görtzen and Viaene, they were talking about LSV doing the sweep. So even while they're trying to play their own quarterfinal, they are aware of the beast in the room.
I think Viaene said something to LG. He's like, I'm actually rooting for you.
Okay.
Here's Elspeth.
I have soldiers.
Craig has soldiers with him because he's also playing Elspeth.
I can't prepare it.
So +1, you get a 1/1 white soldier creature. +1 again, you can give a creature +3/+3, and flying. If you ever get to -8, well, that's when everything, including your Christmas tree, your toaster, and your microwave oven, are indestructible.
Although not your Elspeth.
No, indeed.
Which in an interesting loophole.
Which would arguably have been more useful. It's a very lonely place in the quarterfinals when you are the only table left. Everyone has gone away. You know that the focus of the world is right on you, all the judges around, the scorekeepers, and you know this is all about you. Every mistake will be seen and scrutinized by all your friends back at home. There you see the whole arena spread out.
Greg chose to attack Daniel and not the Planeswalker. You can hear Daniel say, "Me?"
Yep.
Attack me?
Now, is that genuine surprise, or is that just a little bit of play going on?
The Planeswalker's going to give Craig some fits if it sticks around for a while. I think he might be genuinely surprised.
See, I have not played a land this turn, right?
I played a land last one.
No, me.
That's all.
I haven't, right?
It's just confirming that Wescoe has not made a land.
I believe I have.
Did I? Didn't I? And this kind of thing gets tricky under the lights as well. Normally, you just play, you play 100 games, you know whether you played a land or not. Here, not so much. Wescoe will be looking for an Oblivion ring to deal with Elspeth.
He has it.
And there we go.
And that's why he didn't attack.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the surprise. Gräfensteiner like, oh, you have it, huh?
Wheels within wheels. But not for Niels. You can kill me later.
And here comes another core Skyfisher.
Return core Skyfisher.
Yep.
Interesting. Some more mana for Gräfensteiner.
And there you see, oh my goodness, that is going on right now. It's a live shot of the rest of the venue. We have so many great things going on out there. We've got the $3,000 draft challenge.
While we're looking at that, by the way, Daniel Gräfensteiner has a Maelstrom Pulse for the Oblivion ring. He's unlocked his Elspeth.
So, while these two...
And clicks it up to +3/+3. And is going to threatening to attack Wescoe down to 6.
So while these two play for 16 pro points minimum and thousands of dollars, we have people playing for absolutely nothing because they love cracking magic boosters and having fun. There's a real festival of magic at these events. If you are within, 12,000 miles of San Juan, I do encourage you to join us at the back end of May 2010.
By the way, I wouldn't say that those players are playing for nothing. That's the $3,000 booster draft challenge.
Oh, that's a lot of that is the draft challenge, but there are people, just going, let's play, let's do some Winston. Shuhei Nakamura's won that event in the past. Finished like 9th at a Pro Tour and then got up on Sunday and went 10-0 in the draft challenge. It is a seriously hot tournament live in the arena. So Wescoe down to 6, Gräfensteiner at 14. Wescoe looking to avoid a scary 5th game. And in come
Attack Elspeth.
the men, and this time, so you don't have the Oblivion. Attack Elspeth. Wescoe, deep in thought. How many cards have you got? 5. That is a lot of options there for Wescoe. So, does Gräfensteiner send out Stirring Wildwood before blocks? Path to Exile, your man land, away you go. You can have a land by all means. Ideally one that isn't 3/4 in reach. Yeah, planes not so significant.
Is there a land off camera? How did he activate that? Oh yeah, there is a land off camera.
Yep, right up the top. There you see Rashad Miller, level 3 judge, bringing us all the action from the floor. Craig Wescoe. Runs out, calls Skyfisher, picks up a planes. Still 5 cards in hand. See a Path to Exile there. See a core Skyfisher.
Yep.
Replays land passes. Gräfensteiner from Nuremberg, 22. So giving 5 years away to Wescoe. And a lot more years of Magic experience. Gräfensteiner actually began at F&M in 2002. So I've been playing 8 years now.
Target.
Strangely enough, I thought I might target your core Skyfisher because that gets 2.
Craig
You
is
have one other card.
Yes.
considering halving his targeted. Nope. Says no. That's
All right.
fine. They can go.
I'm gone. So although Craig has the hand, that Elspeth sitting on the board, just as Planeswalkers so often do, is starting to dominate proceedings. 1 card in hand for the junk. That is why junk is junk, so you can play Maelstrom Pulse and do things like that.
Back for 1. Make 1.
Token.
Token.
So-
I can defend my Planeswalker.
And I do believe that Wescoe has drawn Oblivion Ring. That's kind of good news. Not rushing to play it, but here we go. 1, 2, 3.
He's not wasting any
That's
time.
Oblivion Ring.
either.
Play a token.
Oh,
Yeah, he gets rid of the token.
Yep.
He's going to attack
Attack
Elspeth.
and there we go.
And now he can bounce the Oblivion Ring with his Skyfisher. Yeah.
Oblivion Ring is a truly, truly filthy card in many formats. Tomohiro Saito made it dance like almost no one I've ever seen at GP Oakland with Terastodon. He managed to make Terastodon twice off Hypergenesis with Oblivion Ring chicanery.
Right, he put Terastodon and Oblivion Ring into play, targeted the Oblivion Ring with the Terastodon, targeted the Terastodon with the Oblivion Ring, and shenanigans happened.
Yeah. Utter shenanigans at Grand Prix Oakland. Saito was very excited coming into this weekend. He had made the top 8 at Oakland. He is targeting Player of the Year. He wants to regain the crown that he won a few years back. But not so great this time around. Top 100 though.
There's Baneslayer Angel.
Big bad Baneslayer in the house. 5/5 flying. Protection from demons and dragons, not terribly relevant here.
But we know there's an Oblivion Ring that Wescoe just returned.
Yep. Return to sender. Go away. And still Gräfensteiner looks at his 1 card in hand.
There's the Dread Statuary.
Hooray!
Oblivion Ring.
Yep. Off we go. And Wescoe, although the life totals read 5 to 14, having got rid of Elspeth, is starting to look favourite again.
Go.
Pass the turn. Noble Hierarch in hand, looks like a Lotus Cobra as well for Gräfensteiner. Lotus Cobra is an interesting card. It's a card, Noble Hierarch, when it came out, everyone saw there was a home for it. Lotus Cobra, it was a very exciting card, but it took a while for people to kind of work out what you really wanted to do with it.
With Noble Hierarch?
No, with Lotus Cobra.
Lotus Cobra, okay. So he got in for 1 with his Elspeth token, his Slash token.
The last one. White Knight, Core Skyfisher faces Noble Hierarch, Lotus Cobra, and a 1/1 soldier. Wescoe at 3.
Gräfensteiner's just playing off the top at this point. He's empty-handed.
Yep, if you're new to the Pro Tour, the term top deck magic means exactly that. I've got nothing in hand. What is on the top of my deck? And some of the great moments in Magic history have come from that card at the bottom of your screen that you cannot yet see.
Craig Wescoe's considering his options. Does he want to send in the White Knight?
Both
Want to
players
send in the Dread Statuary?
deep in thought here. 1, 2,
just gonna
3,
send-
4. Statuary.
Activate.
Activate.
Send everybody in. 8 points of damage.
Now that's interesting. So I mean, Gräfensteiner has to think. All right. So what are you going to do? I mean,
He's going to put the Lotus Cobra in the way of the Dread Statuary.
sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wescoe's at 3 at
Yeah,
this
that's
point.
that's
he
the
took
thing.
He took 2 from the token last turn. I forgot about the Noble Hierarch.
Yeah.
He does not want to chump block with the Noble Hierarch.
And although Wescoe has 2 mana available, ultimately, one of those is a fetch land, which would drop him to 2.
Ultimately, it's shut off.
Yeah. So essentially, we are looking at Path to Exile mana up. That is what Gräfensteiner has to think about.
What he's thinking about here is maybe chump blocking with the Noble Hierarch. He's got three points of attackers to come back if there's no card in Wescoe's hand. And that's exactly how he takes it.
Block here.
Yes.
Alright, take 4.
Take 4. Gräfensteiner to 6.
No, the Dread Statuary is still alive.
6.
Wescoe lays, so he has second land, but
Was that a bluff on Wescoe's part?
wow.
Or does he have the path?
Gräfensteiner has Maelstrom Pulse sitting by that Friday Night Magic pen that he is flicking between finger and thumb.
2 cards.
2 cards.
What are they?
In path?
Is one of them Path? Yes, one of them is Path. Lotus Cobra goes away. Gräfensteiner obviously had to fear it, but he would have prayed for it not to be.
This is Craig Wescoe through to
Second line. Go to 2.
the semifinals. He can't pulse the White Knight. He doesn't have anything to block the Dread Statuary. He's at 6. Oh, he takes the ring. Right. There's the Baneslayer.
Oh. Now, Wescoe 2. Gräfensteiner 6. Dread Statuary ready to activate.
Yeah, it's not activating. That
Skyfisher.
Maelstrom Pulse was actually far more exciting than...
A little bit of black magic
I was
with the green white.
too focused on the red zone there.
Oblivion Ring is not always forever.
Always try to tuck that Oblivion Ring away as far away from people's peripheral vision as possible.
Yeah.
Your turn.
There's a lot of strange professions that Magic players have. There is a research scientist and psychologist in London who talks about where to put cards for maximum memory retention. And he can put lands in places that you would never think to do, so you always remember your what order you want to tap things in and so on.
Go.
A Merrier Angel. So we have the pair now for Gräfensteiner. Baneslayer and a Merrier.
Oh, and then a top deck right back for Craig Wescoe.
What have we got? What have
The best possible card in this
I think those
scenario.
laughs are for what I drew. Better lucky than good, I guess, right?
Better lucky than good. What is it? Gräfensteiner just sits with his arms folded.
Day of Judgment.
Day of Judgment. Wow.
So he's got 11 points of damage to deal with that Dread Statuary.
Your turn.
Before Gräfensteiner climbs back in, there's a Noble Hierarch.
Okay, attack.
Yep.
In comes the Statuary.
You're 7.
Yes.
Down to 7 because he can afford 1 hit from a Hierarch. Exalted would be 1. Makes Steplings.
Go.
Do you not think Gräfensteiner's latest top deck was that exciting? The Noble Hierarch may be hanging back a while.
Noble Hierarch has to jump block next turn. Assuming that there's a land. Wescoe is going to want to kill him.
Go.
As we look out at the arena, players watching live, plenty of players who played in this event. Svi Moshevitz, we see AJ Saka there, Galdenis Vidugaris.
Play land.
Another Dread Statuary.
Activate.
Looks like it is.
Yep.
Activates one.
Attack.
In comes Step Links and Statuary. Hierarch gets in the way.
This guy?
Yes.
Okay, take 2.
Just says take 2. He's fine with that.
5.
5 plays 2.
Go.
What are you drawing?
Knight of the Relic.
Go.
Quick land count.
Wescoe on taps. Has Statuary aplenty. Step Links.
See, I'm at 2, and you're at 5.
Just checking that it's 5 plays 2.
So I played a land.
There are no lands in the graveyard.
Just a 2/2.
Activate.
Activate.
Oblivion Ring.
1, 2, 3 Oblivion Ring.
Bring knife.
And there's the hand.
Craig
God,
Wescoe
that
is
is so
through to the
hard.
semifinals.
By 3-1, Craig. And doesn't he look thrilled? He's waited almost 14 years for that moment. The first win of his Pro Tour Top 8 career by 3-1. He advances to the semi-finals. My goodness gracious me. It looked like he was going to do it, then Gräfensteiner came right back into it, and then at the end, all those Oblivion Rings got the job done.
Attack with the 2 guys.
And welcome back to the booth. The quarterfinals of Pro Tour San Diego 2010 are over. Let's recap for you. Quarterfinal 1, we began with the history man, 16-0, Luis Scott-Vargas. Could Jeroen Kanis prevent it being 17-0?
No.
No. And that is pretty much all she wrote, to be fair. Kanis, a 3-0 defeat every time. I mean, he got Scott-Vargas down to 1.
The third game was very close.
Yeah.
But that was about it.
Yeah.
It was over very, very quickly. If you tuned in a little late to see LSV in action, you're going to have to come back after the lunch break.
Yeah, I recommend coming back after the lunch break for that. He is 2 away from 19-0. Now, he will face the winner of quarterfinal 2. That was between Niels Viaene, Belgium, and Simon Görtzen of Germany. And in this one, Görtzen won 3-1 in a match that, to be honest, never really took off, and we were excited about Niels' deck, and partly it didn't function, and partly it was forced not to function by Görtzen.
Sure, I mean, that's one of the drawbacks when you play a deck that has, a lot of expensive cards, which his deck does. It has cards that if you draw them in the wrong sequence, it can be a little stumbling. You really want to draw your cyclers, you want to get into your open the vaults. Maelstrom Pulse is just brutal against him, with his border post, and we saw that in play. There were a lot of people very scared of this deck. And a lot of people happy to see Simon going through to the semifinals.
All right, so Görtzen will try and derail LSV's date with Destiny in semi-final 1. Down we go. We didn't get a chance to see Carl Boggemes against Yoshihiko Ikawa, and that was because it was a clean sweep. Kyle Boggemes of the United States, only 20, but really did the business, took Yoshihiko Ikawa apart 3-0, and pretty much the killer card for him right the way through that match was Sprouting Thrynax 3-3, and then, yeah, you kill it, I don't care, here's a whole bunch of 1-1s, and that ultimately was what the Japanese player couldn't deal with.
Right. And Boggemes felt just really good going into this matchup. He said it's, very close on the percentages, but, I have a ton of experience playing Jund on Jund, and I think I'm going to come out on top.
Yeah, and 9 years after starting at Friday Night Magic in 2001, 2010, F&M becomes PTSF. Fantastic. And then you just saw the end of the quarterfinals. Craig Wescoe, White Weenie, over Daniel Gräfensteiner of Germany. I don't know, will Gräfensteiner go away feeling a little disgruntled with that match? It felt like, he had chances and could have forced a fifth game.
It was a close game. He, both players drew cards at the right time. He drew he drew a Baneslayer Angel. Then he drew a Maelstrom Pulse to get the Baneslayer Angel out from under Oblivion Ring. But then it was Craig Wescoe's turn to draw cards. When you go to the Pro Tour, you play in Standard, everyone's deck is full of good cards. The top of your deck is going to give you cards. And, I think there's no shame in losing to someone, playing good cards in their deck.
For sure. So, Kanis is gone, Viaene is gone, Ikawa is gone, and Gräfensteiner is gone. Coming right up after lunch, we're going to take around about an hour's break from the live action. We've got a ton of great stuff to bring you during the lunch break. I can exclusively reveal a musical item. The Thundercats will be on the way. They are well worth a look. So you can certainly enjoy that. Plenty of deck techs through the next hour or so. Some past matches to bring you. So don't go away. Have a working lunch. Sit and watch the coverage. We will be back with the semi-finals. We will have Boggemes against Wescoe, and we will have one match closer to the perfect 19-0. Simon Görtzen of Germany faces Louis Scott-Vargas. Join us right after lunch. Until then, take care. We'll see you after lunch.
Hey, here's what's on my mind. Let's you and me unwind. So grab your cards and we'll have a real good time. Yeah, 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 it's magic time. It's time for us to play. Let's go and play. A chosen few really have come through, and there'll be a pro today. The tournament will soon be underway. It's underway. If aggro decks have really got you down, don't frown. BANESLAYER can really help your plan, and you may just win this round. And SPARKMAGE will make your name renowned. Make it renowned. Someone please tell me why the card named Guile can't fly. He's got wings. Tell me why, oh why, but when there's a new set and the pre-release is near, you may hear players cheer. This game is awesome. Count your lands. Try not to overpay. We used to learn mana burn as we tapped the hours away. The artwork and mechanics make us shout hooray. So grab your cards. Come on, it's time. Come on, guys, let's sing this song. Time for Magic Card Day.
So folks, if you would like to make it to the Pro Tour yourself or just have fun playing this great card game, head on down to your local card store for Friday Night Magic.
We really love Friday Night Magic, the best night of the week. Grab your cards and let's play.